Welcome back to Made Up of Wires, where we are decompiling Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. One of the biggest bummers that I've had in the last few years was a trip to San Francisco, and I had my 3DS and all of my children's 3DSs in a backpack. And I forgot that they were there. We had that backpack in a car, and we're leaving the car, and my wife asked me if we should bring the backpack, and I said, nope, there's nothing important in there. Of course, our car was broken into, and that backpack was stolen with 5 3DSs. Many of them really cool, all bought on sale, and now irreplaceable, basically, because they are unobtainium. For how popular the 3DS was, it is shocking how expensive they became almost immediately after. Like, basically, the only people who bought 3DSs were the people who planned to keep their 3DS forever. And I don't know, the secondary market there sucks. We're going to be decompiling Symphony of the Night, of course. I hope everybody had a good weekend. If you're not familiar with the project, go to soten.z.dev. Hey, Dizik, good to have you. And learn more. And I was actually looking, and did I do this or did I not? So we have, we do have progress. We have a progress script, and I forgot that I needed to add the BO6 entry into the progress script, but I did add it, and now we can track that progress. We're about halfway through the code. We're 44% of the way through the functions. That's not everything that we've worked on the stream. I took a file that was previously called cutscene init. The checked-in version is called cutscene actors, and I checked that in by itself because it was a pretty small contained set of functions. That whole section is committed now, and we should be getting progress going forward. So let's see, we were working on just, if I recall, just BO6, so let's get to it. Oh, I updated OBS right before this, and my Stream Deck is not happy. 1 second. Drat. So something must have happened between, so OBS had a major version update from 31 to 32, and something must have happened that stopped the Stream Deck from connecting. Bummer. I'm gonna try to restart Stream Deck and see if that makes a difference. It's not terribly important. I just have a nice big button in front of me that I can press to switch between. Yeah, it's not working. Drat. Okay. There's a nice big button between switching between Safari and the terminal. So I don't have that. So I'm gonna have to carefully click the eye icon as we switch back and forth. Maybe I won't switch back and forth too much. So I did rebase that other change. There were some things that were a little bit different. The rebase was pretty straightforward, but I keep just adding more and more to this BO6 branch. And so pulling pieces of it out. This is actually my preferred method of development, is having a relatively messy working branch and occasionally pulling the things that are valuable out of that into a separate feature branch. And then having those merged in, rebasing, and then repeating. That's kind of the style that I've developed over the years. So let me just check in what is needed. I think all that's fine. If guest 73 shows up, I'll tell him what happened with the PR that he submitted. But let's find what's next. So I try to use as many Unix tools as possible. Primarily the built-in things. Should we do the big cutscene file or function? What else is there? Entity player blink white should mostly be done. Let's try that one. I had to do this for Doppelganger, so I think that's going to be the starting point for this as well. There's a lot of math in here, and it should be, I'm hoping, either very similar to the Richter version or very similar to... Oh, I can't hit the button. My muscle memory is to hit the button. I can't do it. Or very similar to Doppelganger. I think we can take one of these early tabs. I should go through and clean up my tabs as well. All right, I'm going to start a new scratch. I really need to get on contributing to the Dora the Explorer project. Mega Man X4, just looking at what other projects are in here. Mega Man X4, I believe, is being spearheaded by Sozu D, who's a major contributor to the Symphony of the Night decompilation project as well. I'd be interested in Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is a game that I have an odd relationship with. I had it in the 90s when it came out and liked the aesthetic a lot, but just could not get into the game at all. I have it for the EverDrive now, and I was trying to play it again, and I still am unsure. The controls are just so bad, and there's jumps and stuff that it's unclear if you're supposed to be like, are they supposed to be hard and makeable, or are they just impossible? I don't know. But that's not what we're here for. Oh, some changes here, some colors that I haven't seen before. So, like I said, I think that I'm gonna just base this off of one of the pre-existing entity blink whites. Oh, Soul Reaver is about 80% done. That's interesting. They just had their the re-release or remaster of all those games as well. Something I doubt Symphony of the Night will ever get. Of course, we'll probably get to 80% done, and then Konami will announce that as well. I'm going to search for Entity Player Blink White and see what options we have. If there is a BO6 version, I'm going to go with that. And there should be. No, there's not. Oh, maybe it's named something else. Let me search just for Blink White. Yeah. And so we have a BO4 version of this. And BO4 is very mature. This is not the file that I wanted, though. Oh, what happened? What happened? Copying and pasting the wrong things. Slow mind today. Why is this only showing up here? So these are forward declarations. Oh, maybe it is in this file. Ah, there we go. All right. So I'm going to grab this. I'm assuming that it's the same. That's a pretty bold assumption, but I think it will be fine. If I can find my my decomp.me tab. So we have a few things in here that I will need. I'm going to throw this towards the front. And grab these other declarations. So all of these symbols are going to be wrong, and I'm okay with that. What I'd like is kind of a baseline of what this might be. And then we'll go from there. We do have, we definitely have some states that will not be. So Richter actually might be a better starting point. We do need the other Richter. And I don't have them. I need the Richter steps. My arm keeps going to hit the button, and the button doesn't work. So there is not going to be an equivalent to .morphbat, so I'll comment that out for now. Can't recall if there was anything very distinct about this. I need to grab the ELU frame struct definition. And we're 55%. So let's look at where the differences might lie. And then look at all the colors. Holy moly. So we're not going to have a check with mist form, obviously, because Richter can't turn to mist. In general, the way that these parameters are set up seems quite a bit different. Those seem to be the same. This setup appears different. Thank goodness for diffs. So we have some scale X and scale Y stuff that doesn't exist. Oh no, it's way down here. Okay, so that lines back up. Looks like Skittles. Tastes like them too. Again, another global. I never went and named this, but it looks to be a significantly different shape. I think I'm going to go get the... I wouldn't normally do this, but maybe I would do this. I'm going to try the Richter version, because this is further off than I expected it to be. Richter, what should be there, I think, will mostly be changing what the symbols are. All right, so we do have similarly like some large tables. So this is somewhat interesting, and I would be might be good to go back. Maybe I'll make a note for myself to do. So what I found when I was trying to import weapons is that if you assigned a global on the PSP to all zeros, like this is doing, then it was allocated in BSS as opposed to data like GCC does. I thought that was a little interesting. I wonder if that's actually the same, what's going on here, and possibly they just didn't attribute BSS to this file. I think we're ending here. Nope. Looks better. All right, let's give this one a shot. It's probably going to be similar. There's going to be things that I don't have yet. And we'll just flip back and forth and grab those extra things. This is going to be in the Richter header. I'm going to do that in the background. So again, symbols are going to be different from between different versions of the game, and I don't know what those are going to be yet. So I'm going to use the Richter versions, and then we'll fix those up later. I'm going to get rid of these definitions, turn them to declarations. And then to the PLT, these, I have been using the Alucard timers for these, but I'll grab these as well. I didn't realize that there were separate Richter timers. And I'm assuming that those are the same. Oh, I should have gone with Richter to begin with. 99% the same. So there is going to be things that need to change. Anything related to the player is going to be Richter. Anything in G player is going to be G Rick instead. So we'll start with those. And that's what, so we don't have to think through like what it means to decompile this. Somebody has done all that work already. Really, it's just how do we match now what is currently there with the symbols that are appropriate for this overlay. And I don't think it's going to change the number, and that may or may not be the hard part for this particular overlay. We can look at these globals, or this particular function, like down here on line 80, and try to get those correct. And usually it's just taking the value that we have here and replacing it with the one that was in the assembly. Down on line 76, we have a... And where is this? We're up on line 76, so our flags are different. And I'm just going to leave those as a hex value and let the linter take care of that. Ooh, that's interesting. Throw a U there. Flags. Oh, what could be happening here? When I had it like this, we were getting unsigned immediate. Flags is 32 or 16 bits. Let's do this. I don't want to keep this in. Oh, weird. Okay, so something is causing this to be treated as a just signed integer. Even putting the U behind it to specify that it's unsigned is still not using the right instruction. A little odd. I'm gonna go grab the flags. At least a couple of them. And what I'm hoping is that if I take this and like OR it with the rest of them, I'm gonna get the right thing. No. Okay, we'll come back to that. 80. The T page texture page is going to be 16. Another global that needs to be renamed. So there's 1,300 lines of assembly, and we know that some of the symbols are going to be different. And the hard part is identifying the ones that shouldn't be different and making sure those are all the same. I think that's the last of the globals. The rest should be fine. Up here on 47. The location of the sprite sheet pointer in this case is not correct. And so this should be, let's make a new global. I thought sprite sheets were sprite part, but I'll just make it an unsigned 8 array for now. I doubt any of them fall into Richter or GRIC. We can double check. And the reason I say that I doubt it is, oh, this is an unsigned 8 pointer array. The original version of this function in Richter is compiling for both the PSP and the PlayStation. So usually that's taking care of any overlaps like that, are taken care of there. And I almost think it's in the portable builds too. And so if it wasn't one of those two, the portable builds would probably get it, because we tend to take data from what we've decompiled for the portable builds as opposed to mocking it out or something. So we have functions to replace. This inexcusable abomination of that unsigned immediate. It will be somewhat interesting to see what happens there. So our value here does not have unknown 200. 107. All right, so where is this 8? So we're loading the value 8 somewhere early on. I guess let's track V0. It looks like we're missing a case. And can we tell what that case is? So it looks like we might have a 7007 or 7008 case in here, and it's happening, seems like early. I'm going to try putting it low and see if it gets reordered. So it's doing something with the Richter step. Sorry, that should have been 7008. Let's go look at M2C. That's pretty early in. So we're case 2. Oh, M2C took the whole bottom of this and moved where it should be. All right, so there is this blink unknown 80 down here, which I believe is the same as this, and everything is kind of working back to that. And which case is it? Or is it just missing logic in this? The 7000 case looks a little different. So it's looking for timers. Don't worry about this. Basically, it's checking the Richter step for step 11. So I think we do need to add that check, which is dead, I think. And that actually might be enough. The 7008, I don't actually see a case for. So there's one more check that's happening here that's missing. We have the entities check versus 11, and then there's a load immediate 6. We're checking the step against 60 as well. And we can go see what that is. Ending 3. There's more. Oh, there's another one, 70. All right, there we go. And so we needed the 7008, I think, for the switch. If I get rid of that, is that going to break the switch? Yeah, it does. I don't think it does anything, but we need it there for the jump table, and we could get the PSP version to confirm that. All this otherwise looks fine. Oh, and it is going to a jump table. So it does build a jump table, and we could inspect that as well, but I don't think we need to. Down to 400, that's actually closer than I expected it to be. I do expect one or two other things to pop up. Unless the rest of this is just drawing code, which it could be. So different version of this function. So I think the only thing left is that that 1880 And let's see if that has resolved itself. I doubt it has, but what can be done? So we have a yes, I will go back and do the OVL export. Thank you, Tizik. Yeah, so we have this value. It doesn't do much good to cast this as unsigned. I almost want to just ignore this and see what happens. Flags should be unsigned. Doesn't make a difference though. And these enum, is there? I don't think that there is a option for unsigned enum. I'm going to go back to a constant. Oh, really bizarre. I'm going to try this just the way that it is. I don't know if it's going to work or still have the same error. Everything else is aligning fine. So my guess is if I put like destroy camera out of angle, and I'll put that one in there because that is the top bit. My guess is that that would work. Yeah, I can't do that. Drat. Oh, duh, I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. I see the U and I think unsigned. It's not unsigned. It's the upper 16 bits. That's what's happening. So we have to grab a different set of flags. And I should have looked at the flags that were there. We go. The U in LUI is load upper immediate, not load unsigned immediate. So it would not have worked. The only thing I'm concerned with is that this is ending in an odd number. My guess is that there is a function that I missed. Usually symbol differences come in pairs, and each difference ends up being 5 for this number. And so when it's odd, that usually means I missed something, and there it is. That's what I missed on 380, 109. And it's where this is branching to. So let's do this. Is this an OR? It is, but then are these negated? I guess I could have looked at M2C's output. There we go. Now these are wrong. These are ORs, and so these must be equals. I switched that sign early on. And then forgot that I did that. All right, so I was right. The odd number was hiding something that needed to be fixed. Everything else looks pretty good. This was actually one that I was worried about the most because the doppelganger one was not this straightforward. And I'm glad this one ended up being simple. Can't press the button. Doesn't do anything. This was happening. So I added, this is what happens when you don't add different things to CI. Let's do this. We're going to touch config assets. I changed the build so that assets could be reused by different versions, but then also made the build build all versions of the game as well. I find that's nice, so that if I do make changes across different versions of the game, they continue to work. But it seems like something else has happened along the way, and it's not, some assets got added that conflict with each other, and so all versions of the game can't be built. I'm hoping what this is, and see here, these two are different, AA versus A9, as well as here, OA versus O9. I'm hoping that these are globals or addresses, and that possibly I have a symbol wrong somewhere. And let's figure that out. Something that's used a bunch of different times. So I'm going to, I still have that assembly open. I don't. Let me find that assembly again. So we need to find the address that's different. So we're going to start at 409 AC. Oh, and interesting. That's not here. So what else might I have done? What have I done? So the problem isn't in this code, it's in BSS. Let's look where that is. No, it's much later. Where does... Yeah, so we don't get to 409 in this file. So what? Oh, did I delete the wrong thing? Right, so that's working fine. Did I get rid of too much? Let's try one more time. It's... All right, so let's figure out what is at 409 AC and why it would be affected by this seemingly unrelated code change. So I'm going to go look at non-matchings. Maybe it's in matchings? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's what happened, is my guess. Not sure why it's affecting this particular line. And maybe it's not. That's A34. A34. Okay. My guess is that one of these globals that I've declared has already been declared, and I've redefined what it is. And so now I need to pay for my primes. Wasn't this supposed to be oh no, it's a pointer array. But I don't see it. Let's go look at what that function looks like. It definitely is this line. And this was matchings. We have a nice random division happening here. And this function is called O3E8. Okay, so this looks like the factory that we need down here. And something that I've changed. Let's do this as well. Let's put this in a MIPS decoder. So this, we have to go backwards. 34 OA 0001. Or immediate to T2. And the other option was that this was, oh, this is what it should be. Okay. And ours changed to a 9 here, which moves us to T1. Okay, so this is interesting. Whatever's happening inside of this compilation unit, putting this code close to the other code is affecting how those registers are being used. I don't think that this is a code issue necessarily. I think it is a section issue. And so what I think the way to solve this is by splitting this file. And that is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either. I'm going to split it right at the end, assuming that is on a normal boundary. The big thing is RO data, but we know the RO data from this function, so I think it should be fine. We're going to try splitting this here and see if that works. If it doesn't work, I'll back out this change, but that's what it seems like to me. So when you have a bunch of different functions together, the compiler might look at those all together and decide what can I do to make calling these other functions easier or nicer. If I know that I don't use this register here, it's free for this other. I don't have to push it to the stack. I don't have to preserve it. It saves me a little work. I think that's what's happening here. I'm not quite sure. But I'm going to go with that for now. And so let's split this file. So we're going to do it at this function. I find the easiest way to do that is to open that function. I could subtract. We could figure out what the offset is, but assembly has that already, so might as well use it. So 3E97C. This isn't a particularly. It doesn't. I don't think it matters. I don't think it makes a difference. So there's a couple things we need to do. So first, we need to add this split for the C portion. And I'm just going to call this a name based on its address again. We're going to create a new file, name that. I'm going to go grab all of this, paste it here, add an include for the header. Now I need to go through and make sure that I have the RO data. So for that, we're going to grab BO6 Rick. We need the blink white. I miss it. Nope, this one here. So we need to find the end of our RO data, which looks like it's going to be 26E20. And we need to make sure that that is grouped along with that other file, the new file. And the last part is data. It would be nice if BSS and data could come along as well. I don't. How much do we have? About 1,000-ish bytes. So we'd have to bisect where data ends and where 1,000 bytes of data as well. There is no data being defined in C right now, so it doesn't make a huge difference. It's mostly for the future. Are there things that we know should be in the other file? So those don't have to be done. Should they be done? Maybe. So like we know probably these animation frames are associated with this function. There might be more up here though as well. Let's try building this and see if it works. Let me see if I can. I'm going to touch assets, and then I'm going to export version US and Actually, I can do make build US. That'll be a little faster. Roaming says in PowerPC we have LIS for load immediate shifted. Oh, path change. Yes, thank you. So my guess is that this was originally a static function. Oh no, it's not. So why? Oh, we lost something along the way. Oh, it's here. Yeah, I made it static. All right, so that made it worse. So we're going to get a lot of addresses that are different. The first real difference is here at 26320. It looks like there's 4 bytes missing, and that might have to do with alignment. 26320. Go back and look at the splat config. Oh, 26320 is where RO data starts. So this may or may not be related to... Let's keep going and see. Really, I'm concerned with things around 39144. And so we're starting with no ops or 0 padding there. And that got shifted over by 1. So where is our shift? Let's use vbin diff. Actually, yeah, let me look at that as well. I made the mistake, and this might have been a critical error. I made the mistake of putting this here. Let's put it at 20. Yeah, okay. So there was, it looks like possibly alignment that needed to be corrected for. Okay, so that builds. And so I think that theory was correct, that there were something with that blank white function was convincing the optimizer that in the other function it shouldn't use the T2 register anymore. And so it stopped using it. Weird, but things like that happen. So I do need to go through and make sure I add that new file. And I'm glad that worked out as well as it did. So when you're right, I did grab the last offset. So I screwed that up. It wasn't alignment at all. It was just me not thinking through. All right, let's keep going. That was a big one. Glad that is done. Not terribly interesting though, except for the fact that there was that compiler issue. I'm gonna get rid of the JTables from this. Let's look at this small one. Is there a celebration? Yeah, let's throw a party. Where's my... Somehow I'm supposed to be able to do something, and this should happen automatically. Oh, we could do balloons too. Yes. Look at that. We did it. A big one. Done. The biggest. The biggest? No, the cutscene one's the biggest. All right, so chat, this is your turn. What is happening here? And can we do this by hand? I'm slightly surprised at how this compiles. So I think what, oh, there's globals for these already. Not for these though. Okay. 10 seconds. And put your pencils down. What is this doing? Zeroes out 4 globals. Where are those globals? You're right, Dizik. That's what it's doing. These are going to be in the entity table. Probably some fields in Richter. The Richter entity, I'm guessing. So let's grab that offset. And do I have my calculator? No. Let's see where those are. They might not be. No, they're a few entities away. I think. Yes, they're 1 entity away. Ooh, and this is worse than I had hoped. So it's in the entity extension. So 13 is 7F. So we're gonna have 7F, E, D, and C. Unknown 7C is the beginning. So we have 4 bytes at the beginning of something. And so there may be something along with this G entities 1 that's happening in Richter. Yeah. It is an extension. Let me look for that. there might be a macro for this. Need to do that. Let's look at this ent slot 1. And see what that looks like. So we need, it's 4 bytes. What was surprising to me is the optimizer will usually come in. The ordering might be what's causing it if it's being done in reverse order. These are aligned at a 4 byte boundary. So why doesn't it just write a single 32-bit value? GCC is smart enough to do that. So that's a little strange. That's the strangest thing that I think is going on here. It's possibly an array, but we'll see. Slot 1. And yeah, it's just 4 bytes. So this is happening at offset 65 instead of 1, but that's okay. We're going to try to do this by hand and see if we can get it without decomp.me. No promises. There probably is another function that does exactly this, probably right here in PL utils is my guess, but we'll try to do it by hand. To go look at that again. Yeah, it's just unknown 0, 1, 2, 3. Like I said, I don't think the order is going to make a difference, but it might. Let's put it in reverse order. Oh, duh. Wrong index. I did not like that either, so now switch the order. I could do a diff and see, but let's try this first. Oh. So what might be happening? We might be grabbing an entity pointer first. I might have calculated this wrong. That could be. Let's see. Could be returning a value. Oh, we have a big diff. I'm gonna undo the order. Is there any reason? Oh, duh. Wrong field name. Ent slot. I could do remember anything. This might have gone faster. So what the diff should show now, I'm hoping, is that these are just in the wrong order. And so we can try to figure that out from here. So here we have, oh, 6354. That seems more along the lines of the wrong entity. 6354 is off quite a bit from 6413. But this is correct, 6412 versus 6411. So let's try reordering them. Okay, so the first one is quite a bit different. So this is not quite the same. Is that the way that it looked? Or did I miss one? 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah, let's try. Oh, duh. Thank you. Dizik pointed out that I missed one of the indexes, and now it's correct. Should we try putting them back in the expected order? And does it still work the same? I don't think GCC... Oh, GCC cares. All right. So the smallest one is done. Thanks for the help and pointing out my mistakes. I would rather have that than me banging my head trying to figure out why things aren't working. This one I'm going to do in decomp.me. I should mark these. I should be better about this. You can mark them as a match override, which tells other people that this is a successful decomp. Oh. Well, this is easy enough. I didn't need this after all. We do have some register issues. We're going to rename arg0 to self. And what would be the cause of this? So 3F, there's a missing... Oh, there's a missing arg. Why did it work? So here, let's look at the original assembly. We're loading an argument into A1 and an argument into A2, and we're never touching A0 at all in the function. Why? Because self is already in A0, the A0 register, and so GCC knows that. If we looked at the unoptimized MetroWorks output for this, it would move A0 into A0 in some fashion. It'd probably push A0 to the stack and then read it back from the stack. That's my guess is how that would work. But we don't need that. We have a factory macro for these, and so the first 16 bits is the entity ID, and then the top 16 bits are parameters. Excuse me. And that's it. That was easy. Too easy. I should have looked more closely. On this one, I'll think ahead in OVL export. Rat. And I'm gonna have to go figure out what's causing that asset conflict and go fix that. I think all should work in CI as a build target, or part of the build matrix. It just adds another step to CI. All right, what's next? Anything? Let's pick a medium-ish. Okay, so on line 21 it says an aggregate value is being used when an integer is expected. What is an aggregate value? I would assume in this case that it would be a struct, yes. And so this this collider struct is a bunch of fields for the check collision function. Basically, you pass in the struct, and it's the output value. Check collision will see if these entities are or the positions are colliding, and then this is kind of an interesting anyway. And then set the appropriate fields, what type of collision it is, etc., on a collider. So we'll start there. SP10 we'll call collider. Because there's two different stack pointers being used, SP10 and SP38, I think that they possibly are the same. Or sorry, possibly maybe different, but SP38 here is never in... Oh no, it is initialized, yeah. So we have two colliders. And so we're not adding the struct to another value. It's the effects field, which is the first field in that struct. Same thing here, and probably all the others as well. And that should get us compiling, I think. And then the rest of this should just be untangling. So arg1 appears to be like a X offset. This is always a pain when GCC does this. It will do a, I shouldn't say GCC. M2C interprets it as GCC, doing an assignment in the middle of a condition, which is the language allows, but nobody ever uses. I'm going to say offset X for arg1. So we don't need that. Especially because it ends up not ever being used. So similar with this, odd that X and Y are swapped here. That makes me think it's maybe these are like height and width instead. That would make a little more sense to me why they would be swapped, because the ordering of those isn't necessarily super obvious. Maybe it is for you. I don't think about width and height, or height and width. Usually I think about them as height and width in that order, which is the opposite of X and Y. It's possible that S0 is actually a variable. Temp S1 I got rid of. Let's figure out what temp S1 was. It's the same as 6C, which is, I think, going to be position X. It might be position X plus, yeah. And I think these were just done inline. They could be in a variable. It's possible. So here this is a little different. We're adding the offset from the other collider and then subtracting 1. I'll call SP38 collider 2. We're getting much worse. So the these may be pulled out into variables, which is why this is causing so much distress, because this something, oh, we're calling other functions. Other functions could possibly affect a global value. And so I don't think we can necessarily rely on, or GCC can't rely on that value to have stayed the same between these two. So I think that these are variables. I'm going to call them pos X and pos Y. And then down here, we can use that. And I think almost that I called pos Y, pos X. I think possibly that these may be higher. They're not. And the reason they're not is because no, this doesn't affect anything. Both of these sides return. So they could, which means we can use pos Y down here, or up here. And we'd have to look at Oh. We'd have to look at the PSP to see. Yeah, and this looks too early. So I think they're just duplicated. Or that calculation is duplicated. D3 is the same as 211. That's not really an interest, or like a number with any significance that I know of. Something funny is going on with the shift there. I'm not going to worry about it yet. Same thing here. It's possible that these are like pause Y is not used anywhere else, that it's the math is being done outside the addition. Possibly better. As we get things off the stack, we'll find out. This temp 0 seems unnecessary. So it should just be the same as pause Y here. The masking here is a little bizarre. We're taking a mask of... My guess is that this is a composite of several different conditions. And this is just kind of like the mask that all those conditions will use, because it's being remasked down here. So I think that this is going to be collider effects masked equals 1, or and maybe not. Let's maybe try it like this. It's possible that these masks are happening twice. I'm not quite sure yet. Yeah, so here's where the F is coming in. There's no reason to do that except for as an optimization. So I think that this last part is just a mask. Should have been doing that along the way. Nothing good came of that. Hey Eldridge, good to have you back. I think what I'm gonna do, there's a couple ways that I might want to go about this. My guess is that the conditions here are optimized in such a way that makes them not really reflect what they originally were. So I may want to go grab or look for this in Richter. Otherwise, I'm going to grab the PSP version because it'll break it out a little more linearly. So F1001 is not showing up. And again, like with masking, it's completely possible that GCC has modified these masks to the point where they're not really recognizable from what they originally were. A lot of these values are pretty familiar for the collider. So it could be that this is saying, originally it was saying collider effects does not have the 8000 bit set, does not have the 800 bit set, but does have the 1-bit set, and GCC has come through and simplified it to just mask it and then set it equal to 1. Or the 1-bit and the 800-bit are set. That's my guess. So I'm going to search for that. We'll throw a collider in there. Yeah, and so other people have used this test bits flag, which is probably along the same lines. It does look different though. This will make finding the PSP version a little more difficult, but we'll see how it goes. I was hoping this would be a little more simple. This one, I'm expecting the PSP version actually to be pretty straightforward. We'll see. I don't know if that's in the card. So we have a few numbers here that may be worth looking at. The 211 was originally D3. So that's pretty unique. It compiles to a D4. There is only 2 functions for which that is the case, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be looking at this later function. So, if nothing else, oh, sorry, I don't have my button. Oh, the button, I'm useless. So I just grabbed for XD4. A bunch of data, we don't need that. Bottom corner text, I don't think it's that. So we're left with one other function. And what is that function doing? Assigned less than immediate, which is exactly what the function, the PlayStation function we're looking at does, as well as adding that D4 to another value, which is also what our PlayStation function does. So I think that's it. So we'll do a new PSP scratch. And the structure actually looks almost identical. I'm a little surprised, a little sad maybe. I think this time going through it, I'm gonna call SP80 or ARG1, sorry. I am gonna call that width. I think that is the most accurate name for that. SP70 I'll call height. And those will be our ARG1 and 2. And so you can think of this as like a hitbox. What M2C didn't figure out was the collider stuff. So let me go grab those. Apparently we don't have symbols for G API, which seems like a miss. And so if it knew the signature of check collision, let's maybe do that. It thought that that was this function. So we can give it the correct signature. This has to be a function pointer. So we're like this. I always forget where the parens go. No. So now we have a function signature. If we decompile it again, we should get the correct, or more correct symbols. I'm going to just start over. The SP70 and SP80 are not terribly difficult to reproduce. And those might be the wrong names, but it's something. It's a start. Now we do have the right types. Same issue with not pulling the field. So the aggregate mask wasn't done. Oh, look at that. that wasn't being done. And these are being put into V0, which is a little strange for the PSP, but they do seem like they are just variables that are being used. Temp V0 is being assigned there, and this math is done in line. I accept that. And it is being masked that way, so that was real. I thought for sure that was going to be fake. I think that this is going to be pause Y again. This temp V0, we'll see. I'm going to call it collision. We have a bunch of SEH instructions. SEH is sign extend. It means that we have 16-bit values, but we want to promote them to 32-bit values. And those are the things that are going into check collision. Oh, so it's actually the opposite. We want to, I think, make these 32-bit values. Because is the check collision signature, what is that? Oh no, those are 32. So no, we want them at 60s. There seems to be another value here. Is this getting stored back to pause? Yes, we're storing it back to pause Y. All right, then we have finally this temp V0. I'm going to call it effects, masked effects. And I can't remember if our linter will come through and pull all those effects, but we could look at what they are. And then I also want to call SP4C Collider and SP28 Collider 2. I'm actually fine with masked effects too, as long as there needed to be a separate register. Let's look at that. Maybe there doesn't need to be a separate register. No, it goes back into S0. So it's using the same variable here. Oh, there's one variable that is missing. I would be somewhat interested in, oh, can we fall through here? Let's make that Mass Effects 2 then. Interesting that this would be pulled back out. Okay, a few register issues, and then we should be done. I'm thinking that this is greater than D3, and that I'm hoping we'll get rid of the at and V0 issue. It didn't. That's a bummer. Just making sure S3 is used the same way throughout. That seems fine. Make sure S1 is used the same way throughout. 25. This is a new variable. But kind of a strange one. Where's pause Y used? So S0 is being used here. But this is saying oh, okay, that's correct. We need a new Y value. And now, now Mass Effects is wrong again. I think that's okay. We'll deal with that in a second. Yeah, I think that it is getting overwritten. I'm gonna go with that one more time. The sign extend 36. That looks like it. Oh no, we still have these register issues up here. Let's get rid of this cast. So the register issues are starting here, greater than hex 100. And that solves this one. And so maybe this is a greater equal than P4. And that solves that one. Yeah, so a little strange how where'd that go? There we go. A little strange, I think, how those end up working, changing. It must be the difference in implementation between greater than and greater than equals to. Maybe different people wrote them and decided to use or prioritize different registers. But this looks good. Let's take it over to the PlayStation and see how it looks over there. Looks good there too. My guess is that the small difference that's there is because of the check collision function pointer, which is this. Decomp.me doesn't know that those are the same. So that looks good. And where was this? 3E. So this is a doppelganger function, just a little one for checking collisions, not anything glamorous, but we need it to finish. It doesn't have any globals, which is nice. And that worked. So that's it. All right, that's where I'm going to end today. We've been decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We're working on the Richter boss. I think I'll do what I did over the weekend and pull off a chunk of these related functions, as many as I can. Maybe the other cutscene ones, and get those submitted. A lot of overlays we're working on. Where's our BO6? It's the simplest of the graphs. There we go. This one right here. BO6, we're about halfway done. A lot of it's duplicated code, so it should go pretty quick. But that's all I got for you. Go to soten.z.dev to learn more. And I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.